Hey guys, so today I'm going to do another ranking video, and this is going to be my top 30 indie games I played on my channel. So I think everyone has a little bit of a different definition. What does indie actually mean? Does it mean one developer or a team of 10 people, or can it be just any developer that's not one of the well-known big ones like Square Enix or Konami, Capcom, Ubisoft, Activision, EA, like those guys? I think for me, I'm going to use this definition for this video, okay? Because, yeah, we got to have some limitations just so we can make a more cohesive video here. So my limitations are this. The development team has to be less than 50 people, and it should be, like, the publisher can't be a big one either, right? Because there are some, like, smaller studios, as Sony, for example, would publish, or Square Enix would publish. So the publisher can't be one of those big ones. And, yeah, development team has to be less than 50 people. And it should have been released in the last 10 years. So I'm just putting this as like arbitrary limitation, because I think the thing is, if you go back enough to the DOS days, if you go back then, I think you can consider a lot of game publishers and developers back then indie, right? Yeah, like for DOS games back then, like almost everyone was indie. Like the people who developed Doom, id Software, like that's an indie developer by today's standards. That was a team of like, less than 20 people at that time. So yeah, I think most of the developers for DOS back then were just a very small team of people. So we do have to put some limitations here, and yeah, I think within the last 10 years, I think let's just say that, just so we can narrow it down a little bit better, the modern indie games. So yeah, anyways, that's my rules for this video. So let's check it out, my top 30 indie games I played on my channel. Alright, so I'm going to start off with an honorable mention first, just like my other ranking videos. And I hate to do this to this game again. It's Wandering Sword again for an honorable mention. I already put it as honorable mention in my top 30 non-Japanese RPGs video, but yeah, I mean, there's just... It just doesn't quite make it, but it's like barely there, like... It's not quite on my list, but it's almost made it again.
Sheep cheese
It's just there's so many great indie games that came out in the last 10 years, right? So yeah, I couldn't really find room for it, but
really
I still had to mention it because it is a great game, and yeah, it's by an indie Chinese developer, and yeah, I like a lot of things about this game. Like the graphic style, for example, is based on the Square Enix Octopath Traveler style, which is like the HD 2D style. I think that's done really well, and the whole concept and theme, right? It's an RPG that's set in ancient China with a lot of wuxia influence, right? A lot of Jingyun influence, and that's really cool. So overall, I do like the concept and setting of this game. That being set in ancient China and the wuxia setting and everything, I do love the graphics as well. Then the combat system, which is tactical, which is actually based upon the Live Alive remake, I think, because that has the exact same combat system basically as this game. Actually, the whole style probably is based on Live Alive remake, because you have the graphics, which is yeah, done in the same style, and also the tactical combat system. Yeah, overall, really beautiful looking game, and really liked playing it. Honestly, the setting and everything was great. It's just a lot of great indie games are on my list. I couldn't really find room to actually put it on, but I have to put it as an honorable mention. Yeah, again, just didn't quite make it again. Yeah, but again, I'm mentioning it because it is a great game, and I do think you guys should check it out. If you guys like ancient China setting, and you like the Live Alive remake style, graphical style and combat style, then that's all here actually. So I think that's definitely what Wandering Sword took it from. So anyways, it's a very good indie RPG, I would say. Yeah, didn't quite make my list, but I do have to put it on the honorable mention here. But I feel sorry for Wandering Sword. This is the second time I had it as an honorable mention. But yeah, anyways, yeah, I think that's it. This game does deserve to be at least mentioned in this video though. Right, so number 30 is Fallen Aces, which I did have on as an honorable mention in my yeah, my top FPS ranking list. I think this is a pretty cool game. I think it was actually made by two guys, so it definitely qualifies as an indie game. The graphical art style, which is very cartoonish, and it's like cel shaded and cartoony. It's done in the style 13, I think. If you guys have played 13, it's a very cartoony, cel-shaded looking first-person shooter from back in the early 2000s. I think it's done in the 13 style, but unlike that game, this game where you're playing as like a private investigator guy, and then you're trying to hunt down these guys, like these mobsters who want you dead. And just a really unique art style here, I think, and it was fun playing it. So yeah, yeah, definitely an indie game. Only two guys developed this, but I liked playing it. I think the whole aesthetic is very unique and charming, and yeah, really had fun. I think more people should check out Fallen Aces. And I hesitate to call this exactly a first-person shooter because it's like you're not really using a gun most of the time here. Like you can be using like a lot of just stuff laying around. Like here I'm using like a broken whiskey bottle to kill people. And you can use a crowbar and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like it's not really a shooter in a sense, but it is a first-person action game. So anyways, yeah, pretty fun game to play, and I love the aesthetic. It's very charming. Fallen Aces. Right, so 29, I have another indie FPS game, and this one is Sulaco. So this is an indie first-person shooter game, and yeah, it's actually one of my favorite indie FPS games, probably. Definitely inspired by Half-Life 1, I should say, because that's what the graphical style is. And yeah, I would say inspired by a bit of System Shock 2 as well. So yeah, the whole atmosphere of this game. Definitely, yeah, reminds me of Half-Life 1 and System Shock 2. So it's sci-fi with a little bit of horror thrown in, I would say. It's yeah, definitely it's more like that. So that's what Half-Life and System Shock 2 is, right? It's yeah,
generating health and everything really changed up.
Sci-fi with a bit of horror thrown in.
Better or worse.
But yeah, I like Sulaco.
Halo brought vehicles,
really
which is a good
made me think that I was playing, first-person shooter game from the late 90s or early 2000s, around that era. Because I think that's definitely what this game was going for, and they succeeded really well. So, yeah. What else can I say? I would say if you like, Half-Life or System Shock 2, this game definitely has those vibes, and yeah, really it is an homage to those to that era of games, I would say.
And that's really how old school.
I had a great time playing it. Again, one of my favorite retro style FPS games that come out from the indie dev. I mean, there's actually a lot that came out recently. Ones that didn't quite make the list, like Proteus, for example, are really good too. Or Hands of Necromancy, or Graven. This time I went with Sulaco for the indie. So yeah, overall, if you guys are looking for a great indie FPS game with the Half-Life and System Shock 2 type of vibes, check it out. Alright, so number 28 is My Side. So this is an interesting game because it's actually considered like a horror game, and it's very unique for a horror game. I think it's developed by a team of indie Russian developers, and basically you're playing this game in your mobile phone, and there's this girl inside this mobile phone, and then you get sucked inside of her world. Once you get sucked inside of her world, this is basically her world, and then you talk to her, you find her and everything, but you also find some weird stuff that's going on, right? Yeah, so you find this little, yeah, you find this little computer inside of her room and stuff, but then you see her, yeah, and at the beginning she's nice and stuff, but she's asking you to do a lot of things for her, so at the beginning, that's what happens. But then later on, you'll find, as you play the game more and replay it, you'll find that she becomes more and more psychotic. And then it really it twists into a horror game. So it's just a very interesting game to play, because at the beginning it doesn't seem like a horror game at all. It just seems like kind of this cutesy simulation game. But then later on, as you play it more, then yeah, the horror vibes begin to show itself. So just a very interesting experience, yeah. And I don't think I've ever played any other psychological horror game like this. Yeah, so anyways, very interesting game. Definitely, I put it on my list because, yeah, it's unlike any other horror game I played, and yeah, it's a fun game. I had a good time playing it. You have to keep replaying it, and then every time you go into the game, you see her, and then things get more and more horrific and weirder, I guess. Okay, so number 27 is a game I played fairly recently. It's called The Insanity. It's a horror game that came out this year, and this is definitely indie dev because it's actually one of those guys that self-publishes. So yeah, he makes a lot of horror games, it seems. Insanity is the latest, I think. But yeah, really I enjoyed playing this game too. Yeah, so the graphics are done in a more, I say like definitely not as cartoony as me side or my side, that's for sure. Definitely a more realistic style. But yeah, basically what happens is you're in this hotel, and then yeah, and there's something weird happens, and then you find out that there's monsters and stuff, and the horrific creatures that are in the hotel, and yeah, basically I think it's this white lady here. It's very creepy. So yeah, you open this door, and if you let in this white lady, it gets very creepy. Yeah.
Remember, she's the one that actually ran towards.
Oh yeah. Horrifying. Yeah, and then you have these dreams where you're underwater and stuff. Yeah, so that's a little bit weird. And then you try to rescue this goth girl, who's kind of cute, but then yeah, you try to help each other. And she was on a floor where there's another crazy monster as well. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, this game definitely yeah, definitely it gets like my nerves are definitely a little bit troubled by this game. I think definitely there were a lot of creepy moments in this game. So I had it on my list of top 30 horror games I played on my channel as well. So yeah, it's a great indie horror game, and definitely yeah, if anyone's looking for horror game to check out, it's not that expensive either. It's, you know, indie games usually not that expensive. Then go check it out. I think it's a great indie horror game. So yeah, definitely I think it's definitely one of the more memorable games I played this year. Actually, if I make a list for this year, this game will make it as well. But definitely want to put this game on the list because it's definitely one of the more memorable horror games I played. Alright, so number 27 is another indie horror game I want to mention, is Mouthwashing, and I did have this on my top 30 horror games list as well. Another one of the more creepier psychological horror experiences I've had, I would say. So yeah, you start off on this this space station, I guess.
What the heck?
And then yeah, you run into like this little mascot guy, and then yeah, you're just wandering around this little basically this little space station thing.
Mascot, right?
But you keep seeing this mascot guy at the beginning, and then yeah, I remember you see this guy again, and he's like
mascot blocking everything. What the heck? Where did this come from?
Yeah, the mascot guy's like coming towards you
everywhere.
Yeah, and it gets creepier and creepier
as
you
going on here.
Try to find the way out.
The shit. So yeah, this way's blocked.
And then it's blocked, and then bam! Look at all those mascot guys coming towards you.
Oh shit! What the heck?
Yeah. So,
what the shit?
Yeah, that was pretty creepy. And then I guess it was a dream or something. You wake up and you're talking to these guys who are all stuck here with you.
Jimmy.
So, and the graphical style is interesting. It's done in like kind of almost like a PS1 era style, I want to say. Like it's like kind of these early 3D type graphics, which is also interesting. I think when it comes to horror games, it actually doesn't matter how high or low fidelity it is. Like sometimes like the more lower fidelity, the actually ironically scarier it gets. Like you played Faith the Unholy Trinity, for example, which is a horror game I mentioned on my channel before. Yeah, that's very low fidelity, but still very scary, right? But yeah, Mouthwashing, yeah, I find like this game is definitely one of the more memorable horror games I've played.
Something happened to him
recently,
and he ended up.
So yeah, I think it's a great game. Anyone's into like indie horror games, I definitely recommend this one to be checked out as well. So yeah, I did find this one very creepy and very interesting vibe. Like here,
pretty good.
Yeah, they made like a bunch of content for this little
skeleton
TV part they had back in this section of the game. And then you're exploring the spaceship and everything. So there's some clues and stuff you got to figure out. But yeah, anyways, definitely one of the more memorable and creepy experiences I've had playing a horror game recently. Right, so 25 is Slay the Princess, and this is a game that was covered a little bit by the major gaming publications like IGN and stuff. When it comes to indie games, it's really like most of them are not going to be covered by GameSpot and IGN and stuff. It's just some of them will be.
She seems manipulative.
And then yeah, and then those games get actually really famous if they're covered by like IGN and stuff.
She sounds manipulative.
Like Bellatro, for example, kind of exploded after they covered it. But anyways, Slay the Princess is a good game though.
Games from
basically what happens is it's an adventure game where you kind of check out you have this narrative at the beginning. You have different choices of what to do. The narrator actually keeps talking to you, but you can choose not to follow the narrator's words. You can choose to do something else, and then it's up to you whether or not you want to slay the princess, or if you want to save the princess, or do something else. You know, it's all different, and every playthrough it gets a little bit different actually.
What the hell are you? He's talking about those weird marble trees.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So you fight with the narrator sometimes. It's pretty interesting, and you do get a lot of game overs, you know, and stuff. But
oh no.
She's convinced. Yes. Even as
yeah, so it really depends on what option you're choosing, because every option really leads to something different. Overall, it's a really cool adventure game to play. Really never played anything like it. The graphical style, right? It's done in this kind of this kind of black and white type style. So it's pretty interesting. It's like almost like a sketch. So the whole art style is very unique. It looks like you're playing something that was sketched. And then yeah, the different options and stuff that you can do in this game. Just every time being a little bit different when you try to rescue the princess or slay the princess or whatever. Yeah, that's what makes this game so interesting. So I think it's definitely deserving the praise it gets. This one actually did get covered by some major publications, so it's a little bit more famous. But yeah, I do recommend checking out Slay the Princess. It is a great indie game, adventure game. Very unique experience. Alright, so number 24 is Read Only Memories Neurodiver.
Alright, let's do the dive.
This is an indie point-and-click adventure game, I want to say. I guess you can consider it a visual novel as well. Yeah, it could be either or, because there is adventure aspects to this game, and it could also be visual novel too, because there's a lot of reading in this game. So it could go either way, but it's a sequel to another game called 2064 Read Only Memories. I played both of them. Both really good actually, and I like both, but I will go with Neurodiver. Yeah, I was really looking forward to this game because I did enjoy Read Only Memories a lot, and this one of course involves different characters. Also set in the future though. It's another cyberpunk type of style in the future.
In Korea.
This one is one where you can dig into people's memories using this Neurodiver device.
Futuristic Korea. Not that Korea isn't futuristic already, but
yeah. So this one, like, basically, I'm diving into this guy's memory and try to figure out some part of his memory was blocked, and I had to unblock it basically. And kind of doing some investigation stuff inside of his memory. So you can find like certain glitches, like see that guy's glitching up because it's like a giant baby right here, but you're trying to unglitch him. So eventually you just had to figure out some clues here. And this is where the point-and-click adventure thing kind of comes to play here, because you're trying to use some stuff in your inventory to try to figure this out. And yeah, see, managed to figure out it's this bartender guy, not this giant baby. But yeah, overall a lot of reading, because I guess that's where you could kind of consider a visual novel, but also there's point-and-click adventure aspects, like trying to figure this stuff out using items in your inventory. Yeah, there's an Esper guy there who's trying to read your mind.
Time to get ready for work.
Yeah, so, and I do like the art style, of course, just like 2064 Read Only Memories. Yeah, this one is done in a really nice, charming, colorful style. It's set in the future and stuff. And yeah, overall, I just really like this. Yeah, it's a good adventure game, really charming. So definitely one of my favorite. I guess if you want to consider it a point-and-click adventure, is one of my favorite indie point-and-click adventure games. It's really nice. So yeah, I think this one I'm trying to trying to debug that part of his memory as well. Yeah, this game is not as well known as some of the other indie games later on this list, but I do think it's worth checking out. You know, if you're guys into cyberpunk, point-and-click adventure, visual novels, some aspect of that, because a lot of reading. then definitely check out Read Only Memories Neurodiver. I think this game deserves a little bit more love and appreciation. Okay, so number 23 is a Medieval, another great indie FPS game. I was actually deciding, should I put Turbo Overkill here or Medieval, and that was a tough choice. I know I had Turbo Overkill on my top 30 FPS games list, and it's a great game. I think I went with Sulaco for this list because I didn't have it in my top 30 FPS games. I came close to making it, but yeah. Anyways, Turbo Overkill or a Medieval. Anyways, I put a Medieval here. I think this is definitely what many people would say, hey, it's a spiritual successor to Hexen and Heretic, right? And because it has that dark fantasy vibe to it. Except it's like, you know, it's the graphics, while still a little bit pixelated, so it keeps the same vibe as Hexen and Heretic, but it's in a more adaptive to a more modern style as well. So overall, I would say it's almost like playing a remake version of Heretic or Hexen, you know. Just kind of like, everything's like a little bit more modernized, but it's still done, you know, still keeps the true core of the retro style gameplay. Like it still has, you know, the fast movement and everything. So yeah, I think of this as just basically, yeah, your modern, it's a modern homage to Hexen and Heretic. So if you guys like those games, the dark fantasy FPS vibes, then definitely check out a Medieval. I think it's a great retro-styled FPS game. Yeah, the high definition pixelated graphics is what I call it. Yeah, so it's like you still see the pixelated graphics, but it's like high definition. You know, kind of like Sulaco as well, actually. And Turbo Overkill, a lot of these retro-style FPS games that come out these days are all pretty good. Warhammer, Bolt Gun as well. You know, so many of these, yeah, these type of games that came out recently, Proteus. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I had to pick just like a small list of which indie FPS games should make my list here. So yeah, Sulaco and Medieval ended up making it over Ultra, actually, and Fallen Aces as well. All ended up making it, and then Proteus and Turbo Overkill did not, unfortunately. Iron Maiden is another one that unfortunately didn't make it. That's another great retro style indie FPS. Yeah, a lot of them these days, actually. So yeah, and a lot of them couldn't even make my top 30 FPS games, unfortunately. But hey, I do have to mention them. You know, those are also pretty great indie style FPS games. The Hands of Necromancy and Graven as well. So anyways, Medieval. If you guys are Hexen Heretic fans, definitely check it out. Oh, and Dusk, that's another one as well. Yeah, Dusk is a pretty good one too. Okay, so number 22 is Stray. So Stray is cyberpunk flavored game where you play as a cat. And I think that's really the main draw of it, right? So the whole cyberpunk atmosphere is inspired by the walled city of Kowloon in Hong Kong, which is a cool setting, because that's actually where the cyberpunk vibe was coming from. Even Blade Runner was inspired by that, I think. So yeah, setting's cool. I love cyberpunk setting, and then yeah, you get to play as a cat, and you know, who doesn't like to play as a cat? So that's really the main appeal of this game. But I think for an indie game, yeah, the graphics are better than your typical indie game. It's like actually, you know, high fidelity graphics and stuff, so that's nice. And you get to explore this semi-open world of the cyberpunk atmosphere and stuff, and complete missions and stuff as a cat in the future, right? In the dystopian future where humans no longer exist, but cat and robots still exist. So yeah, it's, you know, it's just a cool, fun experience. Definitely not many games where you just play in an open world as a cat, so that itself is pretty cool. So yeah, and that's really the main appeal to it. I think that's why this game ended up even getting some Game of the Year nominations in 2022. Is basically, yeah, like how many games you play as a cat, right? Like that's the main gimmick and the main appeal of it, I think. So well, I can say, like, it's, yeah, definitely in terms of the gameplay, I would say the unique factor is just being able to play as a cat. If this was like just a regular game where you replace the cat with a human, and everything would kind of just be, you know, not that interesting, I would say. It's just the whole factor of this game comes from playing as a cat. So yeah, that's really it. But hey, that's enough, you know. Yeah, just being able to play as a cat in cyberpunk dystopian world where you talk to robots. You know, that's enough. Just the whole setting. You know, it's the concept and setting of this game. That's really interesting. So, anyways, yeah. What else can I say? You play as a cat in a cyberpunk world. That's enough for it to make my top 30. You know, indie games I played on the channel. Number 21, The Crimson Diamond, which is made by one developer. I think her name is Julie Hinamata. She was very inspired by the classic point-and-click adventure game, The Colonel's Bequest. That was designed by Roberta Williams, one of the legends of the point-and-click adventure industry. And yeah, this ended up being one of my favorite games of 2024. I put it in that video. I think at the time I didn't realize this game was so inspired by Colonel's Bequest because I didn't play Colonel's Bequest yet at that time. But later on, when I did play Colonel's Bequest, I realized, wow, this game is heavily inspired by it. But it's not like an exact clone or anything like that. It does have its own, you know, differences and everything that she put into this game. But yes, it is definitely heavily inspired by Colonel's Bequest, which is not a bad thing. You know, that's a great game. So anyways, this ended up being one of my favorite point-and-click adventure titles that I played, especially considering it's an indie title. There's been a few indie point-and-click adventure titles, which is good. You know, having these retro indie point-and-click adventures is done like the old style. You know, that's a really good thing. I mean, Techno Babylon, Kathy Rain, Primordia, Shardlight, those are also a lot of good ones. Unavowed, Lamplight City, like so many. The Golden Wake, you know, that's another one. So there's so many great indie point-and-click adventure titles coming out these days. Owl's Guard as well, that was a good one I played too. So yeah.
Who's that?
Crimson Diamond, yeah, ended up being probably one of my favorites out of these. And I also I usually don't like the text parser stuff. This one does use the text parser just like the Colonel's Bequest. I usually prefer the more, you know, point and click type interface, but you know, for this game it works well. And I know this is done using Adventure Studio, and that's such a common development tool to use for these kind of games, but overall, just really enjoyed my time with this game. So yeah, it's essentially like yeah, you're staying in this like big mansion, and then there's like a murder mystery thing that's going on with some horror aspects in this game. So yeah, anyways, if you guys like Laura Bow series, or especially the Colonel's Bequest, I think you'll definitely like this game, because it's essentially a spiritual successor to that game, done very much in the style of the Laura Bow games. Yeah, so Curse of Amon Ra or Colonel's Bequest, whichever one you liked. Crimson Diamond's like a spiritual, it's done as kind of like a spiritual successor to the Laura Bow series. But anyways, great point-and-click adventure title. Number 20 is Eastward, and really liked playing this game. Actually, I originally played it on Switch, and I got it for PC too. Why I like it so much is, yeah, like look at this art style, just so colorful and charming, right? Really just reminds me of a classic Super Nintendo era game. And also this game has a game inside of a game in it as well, which is also interesting. But essentially, yeah, you play as this father figure and his daughter, and yeah, the story just goes from there. You work in a mine and stuff, and yeah, overall it's just the charm of this game, the graphics and the gameplay. The gameplay is just your standard turn-based combat stuff. But yeah, I would say the graphics and even the story, the relationship between the dad and the daughter is all very charming. So yeah, ended up really enjoying this game. So, and I believe this was developed by a small studio in China, in Shanghai. So anyways, I'll show you guys the game inside of a game here. Oh, this is actually this little gacha thing. It's a different thing. No, the game inside of a game is very reminiscent of an early, it looks like a Famicom cart, right? But it essentially looks like a very early Final Fantasy Dragon Quest type game. So this is the game inside of the game here, and then yeah, it's like a very early Dragon Quest style game, essentially. So yeah, it's interesting. You have a mini Dragon Quest style game inside of this game, so that's meta and that's cool. But yeah, so I found this game incredibly charming to play, and it's not a long playthrough. I beat it in probably like less than 15 hours, but overall, yeah, did enjoy playing through it. So, anyways, I had to mention Eastward. Just a really charming game. Number 19 is A Space for the Unbound. This one was covered a little bit by some of the bigger gaming publications, but it's a great game. What's cool about this game is that it has a lot of heart. So it's set in Indonesia. You don't find too many games that's set in Indonesia, but basically set in Indonesia in the 1990s. And it involves like you and this other girl here, and you end up finding you have like superpowers and stuff. So overall, like just the concept of this game and the gameplay and everything is very charming. It's done in a retro, pixelated art style, just like most indie games are. But yeah, overall, just really enjoy playing through it. The Indonesia 1990s setting is pretty unique, and I think that's part of what this game is trying to do, is like showing you, hey, this is what like being a kid in the 1990s Indonesia was like, and also on top of that having like powers and stuff like that. It's just like a nice little fantasy thing that's in a interesting historical setting, I would say. So, anyways, yeah, really enjoyed playing through A Space for the Unbound. I think it's definitely a pretty cool indie adventure title. Using a setting that normally you would not normally find in any other game. So, yeah. Definitely recommend it. I think this...
It's been a while since
was this on my 2023 list? I think definitely was. Might have been on my top 30 list of top 30 2023 games. I remember I did a list for that. Might have been on there. Okay, number 18, Starstruck Hands of Time. Now this one I know I had on the list of top 30 2024 games. What's really cool about this game is, first of all, the art style, right?
Yeah,
I love how indie games all have really interesting art styles.
This is like
not just like the retro pixelated style, but this one seems to be like this... How do I explain it? It's like you're on a play set or something like that. Like you're playing as a giant hand and you're destroying stuff. See, it's almost like it's like you're like playing a playset or something like that, and then
hammer.
Yeah, and then you use a hammer to knock things down. Yeah, you're now a giant hand with a hammer to knock things down.
Oh yeah, it's like Lego bricks.
Yeah, everything falls apart like Lego bricks. Like, very interesting style. So, that is the first thing I noticed about this game, is the art style is incredibly unique. And the other thing I noticed about this game that's unique is that it has kind of a Guitar Hero style mini game.
What the heck?
So yeah, it's... So you have this art style, but then the Guitar Hero style mini game, which is pretty interesting. Yeah. Yeah, this little rhythm mini game section here, which is really cool. So yeah, and plus on top of that you have pretty quirky characters.
It's funny when they regularly talk.
So quirky characters, I don't mind that either. So yeah, I think more people need to check out this game. This is a pretty interesting, unique game, I would say. So yeah, first you have the unique art style, then you have the rhythm mini game, and then you have just quirky characters in a setting here. Also very quirky. It's like you're inside a playset, like where your houses are made of Lego and stuff. So, anyways, just a really cool indie game, I'd say. Number 17, 1000X Resist. Now, this is a game that actually got a decent amount of coverage from big publications like IGN and GameSpot, and probably deservedly so, because it is a great game. So it's an adventure game where you, you play as this, Chinese Canadian girl, because actually this development team, this indie team, is made up of 4 people based in Vancouver. Shout out to the city I'm living in. That's pretty cool, and I think there is definitely references to Chinese Canadian people in here. So, anyways, it's set in the it's set in the future. It's sci-fi. What's cool about this game is that you can kind of shift between timelines, and once you shift between timelines, you can kind of open up other parts of the school that you're in, and then once you go to certain areas of the school, yeah, you kind of like, yeah, you do this kind of thing. You zip around, I think. And yeah, you zip around different spots and try to make it to like a particular spot, and that will accomplish some goal or objective. So you can find out more backstory about what happened in this game. So there's like, you know, some lore that you gradually unravel. Yeah. So anyways, definitely a very interesting game to play. It did get a decent amount of coverage for an indie title. Like, yeah, usually indie titles kind of have to try fairly hard to get the attention of big gaming publications, but yep, this one is actually very well praised by you know, GameSpot and IGN and stuff. Yeah, the art styles, this like, yeah, kind of like cel shaded cartoony style, but it works well because it looks almost like a JRPG style, except it's not an RPG. But the overall concept of this game is like, yeah, you're in this future here, and it's kind of like the Matrix. You know, you go into like these like simulations and stuff, and you go between timelines, and yeah, the whole story is a little bit hard to follow sometimes, but you know, you gradually unravel it. Yeah, the All Mother is like this god that you worship and stuff. So, anyways, definitely very interesting. If you're talking about like, this is what I think about, I love about indie games, is that there are some indie games, of course, that are just, you know, they're not that original. Like some games just copy Castlevania and call it another Metroidvania. You know, that's not very original. But then you have other games like this, which is just totally an original thing, I think. So in Starstruck and, you know, like those games I mentioned already, very original, right? So that's what I like about a lot of these indie titles on my list, is that they're super original games. So that's the great thing about indie titles, that indie developers can take risks that bigger developers won't take. Right, so number 16 is Cuphead. And this game definitely, I think, got a lot of attention from gaming publications, and rightfully so, because the art style is just incredibly unique. It's based on like old Disney cartoons, or just old cartoons in general. I've never played any other game that had this kind of art style. I still haven't. I mean, it's really unique to Cuphead. I don't know how they did it, but they managed to use this kind of very unique animation style. And it's a platformer shooter game, essentially like Contra, those type of games. But yeah, it's just the art style is super unique. It's like this old-timey Disney cartoon style. Like, yeah, it's super unique. I've never seen any other game use this kind of style. So I guess there's a game coming out called Mouse that's like a first-person version of this. But anyways, Cuphead, still on the market right now. I'm just talking about like, for games you can play right now, this is still the only game you can play right now that has this kind of art style. Super, super unique. Fun to play with a friend too, because you know, you can play co-op and stuff, and then it gets even more fun since it's a platformer shooter, and co-op one at that. So yeah, pretty much I think the reason why Cuphead is so memorable is just because of the art style. Like, gameplay itself is not really that groundbreaking anything. It's just a shooter, like a platformer shooter, but it's just because of this unique art style, that's what makes it memorable, right? It's just like, you know, what other game has this kind of style? So, and then you have this, you have one where you're flying a helicopter too, this section here. So, again, no idea how the devs did it, how they have this kind of art style, but they're the only ones who have this style, and that makes this game incredibly memorable. Yeah, it's just very, very unique. So number 15 is Look Outside, which is an indie horror RPG that I played recently, actually, since it came out this year. And yeah, so this game is done in the style of, I would say it's like a 16-bit style, you know, something there. But you know, what makes it really interesting is, like, I think probably the atmosphere of this game is definitely creepy at times. The enemy design is creepy. And it's just, yeah, this game's just executed really well, I feel like. They're going for this definitely this creepy vibe, an unsettling, disturbing vibe, and yeah, it works. I mean, first it's called Look Outside because, well, you don't actually want to look outside because at the beginning of the game, it tells you not to look outside. In fact, if you look outside, you just immediately die. But yeah, overall, like I do like the vibe and the gameplay of this game, you know, because it definitely feels like you're playing something like Earthbound Beginnings, I want to say, but like a high-res version of that. Yeah, so not Earthbound, but Earthbound Beginnings, which is kind of like an even more, you know, a little bit creepier in some ways than Earthbound is. But yeah, it has that kind of vibe. And then you see like these monsters, which are actually designed really, really well. So yeah, like this monster here is like pretty creepy. And then later on you find some really creepy stuff like these mutated rats and stuff. You find this guy with an eye coming out of his stomach, which is pretty creepy. And then you see like zombies basically. This guy, even this guy's creepy. He just takes your picture. Then you meet this like painter guy who has many different like clones or something like that are kind of mutated in many ways. Like look at that, right? That's some kind of mutated clone. This guy's a mutated clone. This guy doesn't even have a face, but he's like a mutated clone. And then this
monster
this thing, whatever that is, it just gets weirder and creepier, more unsettling. You have this giant eyeball here in this room. You have giant mutated rats that attack you. You have yeah, this thing.
Turpentine, I guess.
And you have this thing, which I don't know what to call that. Yeah, so definitely a lot of creepy monsters. This giant thing right here. Yeah, the monster design definitely is very creepy. RPG aspect is executed well, I think. Definitely in the style of retro 16-bit Japanese RPG style.
He killed me in one hit.
Yeah, done really
Holy
well.
shit, 73
so anyways,
damage one hit.
I do like Look Outside. It is a definitely a great horror game and a great indie RPG. Alright, number 14 is Imposter Factory, and this is the third part of a trilogy. So this guy here, Ken Gao, yeah, he developed all three of these games. The first one's called To the Moon, and then Finding Paradise, and then Imposter Factory. And this one is related, but also sort of a prequel-ish to the other two games. And it's very interesting. I mean, it's essentially an adventure game. I know it looks like it was made using RPG Maker, but it's not an RPG. Yeah, it's an adventure game with a lot of reading. So almost think of it like a visual novel at times because there's so much. Yeah, basically just going around talking to people and then reading. Basically, there's not really any combat, no action happening in this game.
Like all these people like Chinese because they look like they could be Chinese. Actually.
Yeah. So this game, I think I like the other two games too. I like To the Moon and Finding Paradise, which are both really nice emotional stories. But this game, really, I got super emotional because so this game really explores. In the first two games, you have this device that can basically, when someone is dying, they can ask for a wish, and these people who work for this company can help you grant that wish by modifying your memories using that device. And this game kind of explores, you know, how that device was invented, the background of that, and the company itself. So. Yeah, basically, in this game, you start off as this guy going into this mansion, and then you find out that, you know, people are dying and everything, and that you're the only one that remembers it, and this girl. Yeah, this girl is the only other one that remembers it, and then you later find out she basically is like the god, basically, of this reality. And she's running like a simulation, I guess. And basically, she takes you through her life. And yeah, this story is just really emotional because in this game you find out, like, at first you don't know this girl, right? But once you essentially go watch her memories, because she makes you watch her memories, and then you find out that not only did you know this girl before, but you were actually married, and you end up having a baby. And well, basically, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's a very sad, emotional story. And yeah, it almost brought me to tears, man. So this is super emotional, like just like To the Moon and Finding Paradise were both emotional too. But yeah, I really broke down. I played this Imposter Factory. it's a great game, but it just, man, it hits you in all the sentimental places, I would say. Just a beautifully crafted story, really. So the you play is really just for the stories. No action or combat happening in this game, or even like there is some puzzles to figure out, I guess, but it's mostly just through talking. So it's not like too difficult or anything. Yeah, but just the story, the emotional impact of this game. That's why I have to rank it so high. I don't think not too many games have hit me this hard emotionally as Imposter Factory. So that's why it goes on this list. It's a great indie adventure game or visual novel, if you want to call it that. Yeah, just going through this girl's memories, man, it's made me so emotional. Okay, all right, number 13 is Until Then. This is a Filipino adventure game, and it's kind of reminds me of Space for the Unbound, which I had, up earlier in my list, but this game is set in the Philippines instead of Indonesia. So, but in many ways it does remind me of that game, but I also enjoyed Until Then just a little bit more. This game, it really makes me feel like I'm in the shoes of a Filipino teenager. So that's very, very interesting because of course I've never lived in Philippines before. I haven't really been there before. So it's just cool to explore, the whole culture and atmosphere of that. But yeah, in many ways it's like Space for the Unbound, because I know Space for the Unbound was trying to do that except for 1990s Indonesia. But also in that game you have some magical fantasy aspects as well. Whereas in Until Then, I guess you do have some weird, strange paranormal aspects in Until Then too. But for the most part, I felt like I was playing almost like just as a regular guy in Until Then. And also you have these other parts of this game where you have like this texting part where you feel like you're actually in a chat with these people, right? Then you're scrolling through Facebook, you're liking people's posts, just like a teenager, just like I would actually in real life. So yeah, and then you have these other mini games. This one I'm trying to like get these the street food here.
Damn it.
Trying to get the street food here. And yeah, the pixelated art style and stuff is very charming as well. Yeah, overall, really enjoyed this game. It's got a beautiful story. It's got a lot of heart. I essentially just think of this as like a better version of Space for the Unbound, honestly. Not to say Space for the Unbound is a great game, and that's why I have it on this list. But I enjoy this more. Until Then, it's like a Filipino version of Space for the Unbound with more mini games and stuff. So that's what made me enjoy it more. Anyways, yeah. I just totally felt like, yeah, I'm a Filipino teenager when I'm playing this game. It's pretty awesome. Alright, so number 12 is Citizen Sleeper 2. This is another game I had on my top 30 RPGs list for non-Japanese RPGs. Yeah, this is a very unique RPG because there's no combat involved in this game. You don't control a character. Instead, it's almost like a visual novel, like very narrative-driven RPG, I would say. It is an RPG. You do pick a class and everything, and it does affect your chances of doing missions and stuff in this game. Yeah, like these tasks, I should say. Yeah, you do a lot of tasks in this game, which require like dice rolls, basically, and other things that actually depend on your stats of the class that you chose. So it is an RPG, but it's just very, very narrative-driven, almost like playing a visual novel with RPG aspects, I would say. No combat in this game or anything, but I did like playing this game a lot. I found it a very cool experience. I love playing the original Citizen Sleeper as well. So the original Citizen Sleeper was the same gameplay. Citizen Sleeper 2, it's just, yeah, more of this, but expanded.
Yeah, I got 7
yeah, I enjoyed playing Citizen Sleeper 2, and
so
recommend it to people who want to try out an indie RPG. That's kind of unique, doesn't really have much combat. Very narrative driven. Yeah, it's almost like you're just playing like almost like a visual novel set in a sci-fi setting. Yeah, it's like sci-fi visual novel with RPG aspects, essentially. I know to some other people might feel boring without combat or something, but to me it's still fun and interesting game, because I still play visual novels and stuff, and I get enjoyment out of those. So yeah, this is just to me a very, very narrative driven RPG game. So yeah, definitely check it out. Citizen Sleeper 2. First one is great as well. I think they're both good games. If I can't choose one between the first and the second, I just generally go with the second. but they're both good games, so I recommend. All right, so number 11 is Chained Echoes. And this is a game a lot of people I probably know about. For an indie game, it got pretty famous because it's done in the style of an old school retro JRPG, like 16-bit, think Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, like those type of games. I know Sea of Stars did that too, but I personally prefer Chained Echoes to Sea of Stars. I think maybe I'm not the only one. I think Sea of Stars is done well, of course. That's a great retro styled RPG that's done in the style of like Chrono Trigger. But Chained Echoes, I feel like it makes a tribute to these older JRPG type games, but it doesn't feel like a direct copy of those games. It just it doesn't feel like exactly a clone of those games. It has its own thing going on too. And while I do love Sea of Stars, I feel like it's almost too much like a derivative type of game, whereas this game, feels a little bit more original. It's just straight paying tribute to those older 16-bit JRPGs. So I think that's the difference
his
to
mom
me.
Opens
Anyways,
the windows. The layout
again, nothing bad against
like
Sea of Stars. I think it's a great game.
Civilian,
but I just prefer Chained Echoes more. I feel like it's got a little bit of its own thing going on, whereas Sea of Stars kind of felt like a little bit too derivative of Chrono Trigger and those other games at times. So, anyways, Chained Echoes is on my list, and this was actually on my list of my top 30 non-Japanese RPGs as well. And I know this is done in the style of a JRPG, but just it's by a Western developer, right?
That is a pig with ears, and that is a box. That is a fly.
Pays a lot of tribute to the old school JRPGs, and you can choose. You can play as many different characters that all have their own stories and everything, and it's well written, and combat style is classic JRPG style here. Done in obviously Final Fantasy like style there. Overall, just a great indie RPG. I think definitely in terms of indie RPGs, this is the one of the most memorable and highly acclaimed. So Chained Echoes. If you guys are looking for a retro, like a retro influenced or Super Nintendo era influenced indie RPG, definitely check this. Alright, so number 10 is Cloudpunk, a very underrated adventure game, I'd say. I enjoy playing Cloudpunk a lot. And this is a game it feels unassuming because the game description is just like, hey, you deliver packages. In the art styles, you're in this voxel world. And I know it came out before Cyberpunk 2077, and at first you might think that, Cloudpunk is just trying to capitalize on the Cyberpunk 2077 hype, right? That's what I thought when I bought this game. I was like, it's just trying to get the hype on Cyberpunk 2077. But no, it's actually a very legit game. So especially since they added the first-person perspective in this game as well. So the voxel art here. Voxel art means everything is done as if it's it looks like it's made of Lego. So the space, the little ship that you're controlling here, it looks like it's made of Lego, which is pretty cool. All the buildings, everyone, the characters, they all look like they're made of Lego. But the main thing about this game is you deliver packages. So it may seem like it's simple, but there's actually a story in this game. You deliver more and more packages, but as you find out, there's more and more mysteries behind that. So you're asked not to ask any questions about the packages, but the more you do it, the more suspicious things become, let's just say. I would say overall the story is actually pretty decent. Definitely more than I expected. And the whole vibe of this game, yes, is very cyberpunk, I'd say, and just you're controlling the ship, and you've seen these giant floating metropolises, and it's really cool. But also you can just go on the ground, you can get out of your car, and you can just go on the ground and you can buy stuff, you can buy food, you can talk to engineers here, right? I just went to the merchant, to the waiter, then I talk to engineers. You can go on the ground too, right? So that's pretty cool too. You think this kind of game you wouldn't be able to go on the ground, but you can, and then you can just roam around it's an open world, and that's really cool too. It's you're in this world where there's really it's a giant floating metropolis. So you go through these highway systems that connect to all these other areas, which are really cool actually, and then you can land on any of these platforms, and then there's stuff to do. There's even clubs and bars and stuff. It's definitely more than what you'd expect. I initially thought this game was just yeah, it was just an indie game trying to capitalize on the on the Cyberpunk 2077 hype. But no, it's its own game. It's very legit. And yeah, you play as this Reina, and oh yeah, talking dog. You have a talking dog as well. You can go into first person, both in the ship and outside of the in person as well. Yeah, so you can go in first person like this, which is cool too. I generally still prefer third person, but you can go first person, which is also really cool when you're in a very cyberpunk environment like this. So yeah, overall, very underrated indie title, I would say. I love this game, and Cloudpunk is a great adventure game. So definitely, if you like cyberpunk, then definitely check it out. All right, number 9 is Wargroove 2. So this is essentially it's a strategy game that's done very similar to Advance Wars. For those of you guys who know Advance Wars, it's a strategy game where you have all these like military units that you build up, and you can take over different buildings, and it will generate more money for you, and then you can build other units and try to take over the opponent. So Wargroove is very much inspired by Advance Wars, except it's not exactly like a direct clone or anything, because it doesn't use military units. It uses the fantasy creatures instead. So like you create your own cavalry, you create your own skeleton soldiers here for that side. So yeah, it's I like the concept, and I played the original Wargroove a lot actually. Played it with my friend a lot. Overall, it's a very fun game because I love Advance Wars. Before Advance Wars 1 and 2 got that reboot, there was Wargroove, and now there's Wargroove 2, which is a sequel, which just expands upon the original Wargroove. So yeah, I think I had this game in the 2023 honorable mentions, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think this game is it's fun to play. I like playing these kind of strategy games. The original Wargroove I did play a lot. Now that we have Advance Wars Boot Camp, you can either play that, but if you were looking for like more of a fantasy type of twist, then definitely check out Wargroove and Wargroove 2. Yeah, Wargroove 2 is a little bit more expanded, adds a few more units and factions and stuff. Essentially the same gameplay as Wargroove 1 though. But yeah, for me, I think this is definitely one of the games, I think for strategy games, definitely one of my favorite indie strategy games. Yeah, it's like, I'm actually surprised there isn't more games that try to be like Advance Wars. I mean, there is some like indie games like Dark Deity that try to be like Fire Emblem, and Symphony of War that tries to be like Fire Emblem, but not too many games that try to be like Wargroove. I mean, not too many games try to be like Advance Wars. Wargroove is one of the few. So yeah, Advance Wars plays a little bit differently than Fire Emblem, by the way. Yeah, you actually like have to capture stuff. So anyways, it's cool. It's basically Advance Wars with fantasy units. And if you guys want the expanded version, then Wargroove 2 is the expanded version of Wargroove 1, essentially adds more units and stuff. So anyways, definitely one of my favorite indie strategy titles. Alright, so number 8 is Into the Breach. So just continue with the tactical strategy stuff. I like Wargroove 2 a lot. One of my favorite indie strategy games and tactical games, and Into the Breach is another one. So basically Into the Breach is very much like XCOM, but it's kind of its own thing as well. So yeah, it's tactical, which means that everything's like grid based and everything, and you take turns, but it's also very much strategy because like the enemy will kind of telegraph its attack. Yeah, so it'll telegraph its attack for the next turn.
Probably just
so it doesn't exactly like just attack you this turn. It'll attack you the next turn with that move, and because of that, it gives you a lot of ways to plan things. And then when you use your units, you also kind of plan your attack. You telegraph your attack to the enemy as well. So it's basically you really have to plan out your strategy well. It's the enemy will tell you what they're gonna do, and then you're gonna attack or move or whatever, and it'll take a turn for it to take effect as well. But the order in which you do things is very important. And you're trying to save these bases essentially from being destroyed, or these cities, I guess, these cities or these bases from being destroyed. But yeah, I end up playing Into the Breach quite a bit. It's fun, isn't it? It's addicting. I know to some people might seem like, oh, this is boring, but whatever. If you're into tactical stuff, then you'll know what I'm talking about, right? Into the Breach is, yeah, very much tactical. Yeah, it's kind of like XCOM, but also it's its own thing as well. I know it definitely takes a lot of influence from XCOM. But yeah, the fact that the enemies can telegraph their attack to you, and these are like these giant insect type enemies. You try and defend the cities from these insects.
Oh, I don't like this guy.
Yeah, and they just come out of the ground sometimes, and you have to keep on defending these cities and bases from them. Yeah, and then you choose your mechs too, because each mech has like a different ability, and they can attack from different ranges too. So eventually you can just choose your mechs, and then you can upgrade them, enhance them and stuff. So anyways, I play this game a lot. Honestly, when I first started playing, I couldn't put it down. It really was addictive. Yeah, so different attacks do different things. You saw that I threw that rock and it pushed the bugs with the monsters basically, and then pushed one of them into the acid and it died. You know, it's just like things like that, right? Different attacks do have different effects. That particular attack had this effect of pushing the monsters on the side of it. So this is kind of stuff. It's very cool, right? You have different attacks that have different effects, and those different effects, you got to plan for it. So anyways, it's definitely very strategic, and yeah, a very solid tactical game. So yeah, definitely another of my very favorite indie strategy games. Number 7 is one of my favorite indie RPGs, In Stars and Time. I've talked about this game already in my top 30 non-Japanese RPGs already, but I have to mention it because it's great, and I think more people should definitely check it out. I think this game is probably not as well known compared to some other of the indie titles on this list, but In Stars and Time deserves to be, because it's like, okay, first of all, the art style is this kind of monochromatic black and white Game Boy
tutorial
style.
Kid.
So yeah, it's done in the style of like Game Boy basically. So it's very interesting, it's low fidelity, but hey, it works for this game, and I definitely don't mind it. What's cool about this game is that it has
flower growing one.
Yeah, it has this time loop that happens.
The last dude.
Yeah, so basically you go through a time loop, and then you wake up. You're the only one that knows about this time loop and knows that things are repeating itself. And you just, you can kind of do things differently or the same way, it depends. But the characters will also react.
Everything's like, it's like a very expanded version of Rock, Paper, Scissors.
Yeah. So this game is like, if you make a mistake, you can redo it, and you can go back in time to do it, and then you're the only one that even remembers that you made a mistake, and everyone else is like,
I think that's it.
Yeah, everyone else basically doesn't know that there's a time loop, and then you can choose to do it differently, and then the characters will react based on what you did and everything, but basically you're the only one that remembers that there's this time loop that you're a part of. So anyways, it's a very interesting game. I had a lot of fun playing it. I definitely think it's an indie game that more people should check out. There's a lot of charm, and the gameplay style is unique, right, with that time loop and everything.
Yeah, it's already been used.
I can tell that this style, yeah, is partly Dragon Quest, part Earthbound inspired. So, anyways, yeah, they're very unique enemies as well. Yeah, so despite the fact that it's the graphics are like, yeah, the Game Boy style essentially, but it's fine. I think it works well for this game, and really enjoyed playing this RPG. I think more people should check it out. Number 6 is Deltarune. This is an indie RPG that actually just came out this year, because there was free demos that have been released since 2018. This game is but the full release actually just came out this year, 2025. And it's actually made by the same developer who made Undertale. And as much as I love Undertale, I actually like Deltarune better. So Undertale is a great indie RPG, very influential, actually, for the indie RPG space. There's been a lot of other indie RPGs that play that have been clearly influenced by Undertale. But yeah, Deltarune I like even better. It's not quite as dark as Undertale is, but yeah, it's also really charming and quirky in its own way, I guess. So yeah, you have this school bully basically. But also, yeah, you find that you and the school bully are transported to this other world, and yeah, some weird stuff happens here.
So you still gotta
the
play
combat
these
system
mini-games.
is different than Undertale, but also kind of similar. Similar
Blaze
but
is thinking about
different.
So yeah, you still gotta play these mini games just like in Undertale, except this time it's from a side view perspective.
Yeah,
Not from
so basically, as I said in this video, the combat system
is it?
is like
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Undertale in the sense that when they
Game.
attack, you still gotta play this
no,
mini
there is a
game
mini-game. Okay,
where
okay,
you
I see.
try to dodge
So you
something.
still play the mini game.
But
from a first-person
it's
perspective,
also
like in
different
Mario.
because it's from a side view perspective, kind of like Final Fantasy as well. So in that sense, it's different. But yeah, overall, very cool, quirky game. The art style is, of course, the retro 8-bit style, or is it more than 8-bit? But anyways, a similar style to Undertale. If you're familiar with Undertale graphics, it's the same. But I just like the, yeah, I like it better, actually. This one doesn't seem to be as dark, but it's also more pretty interesting in terms of dynamic with your... Here I have like Chris, who's my main character, and then Ralsei and Susie, who is the bully. So it's interesting your dynamic between you and your party members here. Yeah, so anyways, quirky characters, interesting story. I like the fact that it's, well, it's actually free to play for the first 2 chapters here. Of course, if you want the full version, you still got to pay for it, but demo's at least free, which is cool. Anyways, yeah, I do like this better than Undertale. I feel like this, yeah, it's not, you know, Undertale is a very interesting story. Of course, it's got a twist to it, and it's also, you know, a little bit creepy at times, but yeah, Deltarune is, to me, even a little bit more interesting still, so. And it's still very charming. So anyways, I put Deltarune a little bit over Undertale. I didn't have Undertale on this list because I have Deltarune on this list, and I feel like that's kind of redundant to have both, but yeah, I do like Deltarune better. Number 5 is Dredge. And this game really surprised me too, because originally I thought, okay, this game is just a fishing game, isn't it? Like, that's what I thought anyways. It's like, hey, you just control this boat, and at least from the beginning of the game, it seems like that. You just go out, and then you go to some fishing spots, and then you catch some fish, you bring them back, get money, and yeah, you put, you know, you catch fish, you put it in your inventory, you sell it, you make some money. And that's what I thought this game was. But it turned out to be a lot more than that. If it was just a fishing mini game, I mean a fishing game, then I wouldn't have had it on this list. But this game actually turns out to be a lot more than just fishing. So yeah, you end up catching some mutated fish sometimes, and then you kind of ask the townsfolk about, well, why is there like mutated fish, you know, and stuff. And then you can actually go out more and explore essentially this open ocean here. And yeah, you find some really interesting stuff. Like if you explore the different islands or areas, I guess, and you'll find like there's some areas with like sea monsters and stuff. Yeah, this area has some like jellyfish and stuff. And then you'll see like some sea monsters, basically. And then you'll find some odd apparitions. This one has the Flying Dutchman ghost ship there, which you won't really catch. Yeah, so there's actually a wide open space where you can go, and it's not just about fishing. It's really about exploration, and I really do love that about this game. This sense of exploration in this game, I think. So the fishing thing is just one part of this game, but the other part of the game is about exploring the different islands. And I believe there's even one island that has like fiery volcanoes, and you have like piranhas chasing you. Yeah, the piranhas chasing you, and then like eventually you have this mother piranha which comes and just eats up your ship if you don't get away from those little chippers fast enough. So yeah, very, very cool game. Really enjoyed playing this game. You know, I just love the sense of exploration, going to different islands, and then each island has their own mysteries, basically, their own special kind of fish, and you talk to like special, you can talk to different villagers in every island. Yeah, they're all pretty different. Just the fact that every island has its own mysteries and stuff. I think, yeah, the sense of exploration in this game is really good. So, anyways, I did love enjoying this game playing. I enjoyed playing this game a lot more than I expected. Right, so number 4, I have a game that's probably one of the most well-known indie games ever. I think this might be tied with Minecraft. No, maybe Minecraft is still maybe more well-known. Yeah, Minecraft is like the most well-known indie game. yes, Minecraft is indie because originally it was developed by one guy, right? Marcus Pearson. But anyways, aside from Minecraft, I think Stardew Valley is one of the most famous indie games. It's just one of the most highly acclaimed games, not just for indie games, like it's just overall, you know, just considered one of the greatest games of all time. Developed by one guy, Concerned Ape. So, yeah, this is a... Well, what can I say about Stardew Valley that you guys don't already know? It's essentially a life simulation game. It takes a lot of aspects from Harvest Moon / Story of Seasons, and it just adds more onto it, enhances it. Yeah, it's really got a bit of everything, right? At the core, you can say that originally it was meant to be a farming simulation game, but eventually it turned out to be much more than that. So of course you did the farming stuff, but there's also all sorts of stuff you can do in this game, right? The crafting, the survival, the combat, the marriage, right? Like a lot of stuff that, you know, Story of Seasons have this stuff too, but Stardew Valley, many would say did it better and expanded on it. So yeah, it's like what I could call a life simulation game. It's just, you can really just control almost every aspect of your player's life, and also including combat in this sort of game. So including yeah, building stuff for your house. Like Animal Crossing is like this too, right? You build stuff for your house, and you gather materials, and you build stuff, and then you can play like mini games. I think that was a mini game. Yeah, this mini game inside of here. We're just playing this arcade machine, right? This mini game inside of here. It's a really game you can just kind of play forever. You know, there's no really real end to it. You just keep on playing it and playing it. Making more stuff, harvesting more stuff. Yeah, it's endless.
Apparently I need lots of energy.
Yeah, Minecraft is like this too. So the thing is, you could consider Minecraft an indie game, but I think it's like a Microsoft game now. Right? It used to be an indie game. It's not anymore. Stardew Valley though is still an indie game. So yeah. What else can I say? It's one of the most famous indie games ever. There's been tons of clones now of games on Steam, other indie games that try to be like Stardew Valley, but none of them have surpassed Stardew Valley yet. Yeah, you see like tons of these life simulation, farming simulation games out there on Steam nowadays, but none of them have, all of them try to be like Stardew Valley, none of them are Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is still on top, so yeah. Just something about this game, man. So what can I say? It's an all-time great game, and well, I can say I'm not like the type of person who will play this game as much as most other people. I still like really enjoy this game, of course. There's just so much you can do in it, and I really had to stop myself because, you know, you can just keep on playing this game just for a very long time. And I have a lot of other games to play. So, anyways. You can do everything in this game. Just say Stardew Valley. Yeah, it's one of those simulation games where you can just do a lot of stuff.
There's a monster.
Okay, so number 3 is Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and yes, this is an indie game. Like, it meets all the requirements. It's a small studio. It's got it's got like 30 employees actually that made this game, I believe.
Yeah, right.
Even though they had some help from other studios, but yeah, essentially the core team was like 30 people. And yeah, small publisher-ish, I would say, like, so yeah, Kepler I think is a smallish publisher, but anyways, is not a big publisher, it's not a big company or anything. Dev team wasn't that many people. Yeah, it's an indie game, it qualifies, even though this is probably the best looking indie game I've ever seen. Yeah, I'm not counting Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong, you could say, yeah, it could be indie-ish, but they actually had over 140 devs working for them. They had more devs working on Wukong than Clair Obscur. But yeah, I mean, everyone who's played Clair Obscur knows how well this game is done. It's extremely well polished. It takes a lot of the best aspects from games like Persona and Final Fantasy, and yeah. A lot of people call this is what JRPGs should be done, right? It's like this. We're going to see a very high quality AAA level JRPG. I think they're referring to Final Fantasy. But it really has everything. It has a story, the pathos, and the emotion, right? It has the characters, you bond with the characters.
What the heck?
Beautiful world with high fidelity visuals, right? It feels like it's a AAA level game in terms of the graphics, even though the dev company is not that big, but it's AAA level in terms of the graphics, and art style. And the combat, yeah, what can I say? The combat is probably the best turn-based combat system I've experienced, because like it forces you to learn the enemy's moveset. You have to parry and dodge, and you really have to time that because you have limited heals. It really does force you to learn that. And the enemies are not like so like you basically have to know how to dodge and parry eventually.
Hard to time because every enemy
overall,
has their own timing.
the combat system makes it's like turn-based but also skill. You got to be skilled, not just a mashing game. Right? A lot of turn-based combat systems in JRPGs, you just mash.
Every enemy has their own timing.
This one, no. You gotta actually like time stuff, so you do need to have some element of skill there. So yeah, that combined with the rest of the game, the graphics, the music is great, character, story, and everything is just makes for an all-time great RPG actually. So, anyways, yeah. What can I say? Everyone, I think, knows by now. It's gotten pretty famous. Clair Obscur. It's selling pretty well. So you could say like, yeah, is this really an indie game? I mean,
Looking good.
I think it is. It's an indie title, even though it doesn't look like one. It looks like something that big companies like Square Enix would have made, but it's made by a small dev company. So, anyways, Clair Obscur I think deserves to be on this list pretty high because it's an all-time great RPG. You want to check it out. Okay, number 2 is Valhalla of Cyberpunk Bartender Action, which I would say is more like a visual novel-ish, because it's mostly just reading. I mean, there's parts, the little bit of gameplay, right, where you have to mix the drinks, but it's mostly reading. And why I have this game so high? Okay, so I actually recently played this on my PS Vita. Which with this game, basically it's a cyberpunk setting, and I love the cyberpunk setting. But what's great is that it's pretty immersive. So basically you're in this world, the cyberpunk, dystopian futuristic world, and you're working as a bartender. And as a bartender, you have to hear a lot of people's stories. And I don't know, it's just like the characters in this game, everyone has their own stories, their own personality, and you feel like really immersed, right? So I feel like I just wanted to know more and more about these characters. They're all really, really cool. They're all very interesting in their own way. And then when you get home, you get to scroll on your phone and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And the music, I love the soundtrack for this game too.
Oh, I wish I had a
great soundtrack. Yeah. Overall, really love this game. Couldn't put it down when I was playing it. It made me feel so immersed. Okay. So just talking to all the different people here. Of course, you gotta make them their drinks and stuff, but you gotta remember what kind of drinks they like and everything. That's really the only gameplay part of it. But other than that, it just made me feel like I'm really immersed in this world. The charming graphics, right? Combined with the whole world building of this game, the quirky characters, the music, everything, just really draws me into this game. So, anyways, for me, this is definitely one of my favorite games, favorite indie games, for sure.
No matter how much it's been better.
Anyways, that's why I have it so high on my list. If you guys haven't played it, definitely check it out. I mean, if we're talking about Cyberpunk, this is one of the Cyberpunk games that really sucked me in.
You're very sexually fun.
Right, so I'm kind of cheating here. I actually have 2 number 1s. They're both tied because I can't really decide which one. The first one's going to be Subnautica. And these 2 games are actually kind of similar in many ways. Yeah, so Subnautica, it's like, I'm playing this in VR actually, at the time I did this video. It's an exploration game, and it's also a survival game as well, because you can craft your own things.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But most of the game is underwater.
The VR controllers
so you crash landed on this alien planet, and you basically have to find the materials to build stuff, and craft things. But once you go underwater, right, you see like all these amazing things underwater, like these these,
I don't know what
these
you call
like sea
this,
monsters
like
or sea creatures underwater.
Oh, it didn't kill me, so that's good.
And once you build like your own little craft here, you can kind of dig deeper underwater and see what's happening. Originally, your plan really is to build like a ship to launch you out of here, right? But it's cool to like explore. Basically, this game's all about exploration. you're underwater and you're exploring.
Oh man, what is this thing?
And there's like there's
shit.
sea monsters and stuff here, right?
That thing
So
looks
that's
dangerous.
like these big sea serpents and
That thing
stuff.
looks dangerous.
Leviathans are living underwater. And I just love how much exploration you can have in this game. And it's even more immersive when it's in VR, right? So yeah, it's another great thing about this game. So anyways, I love playing Subnautica. I think it's definitely one of my favorite indie games, one of the most memorable experiences. Because I remember like just piloting a craft, like creating my own craft, piloting underwater, and then this giant Leviathan thing comes at me. And it's in VR, so like it really like is immersive, right?
Giant sea monster right behind me.
Oh man, it just, oh my god, that really got me, that part. So anyways, I think there's another one. There's another part. Oh my god,
shit.
yeah.
Another one.
I ran into that giant Leviathan too. Whew.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so you see like these sea monsters underwater, very scary looking. And yeah, just the amount of exploration
giant
you can
sea
do in this
monster
game.
things.
I love the sense of exploration. So
Oh my god.
Subnautica tied for number 1. And another game that's tied, the other game that's tied for number 1 is also about exploration, except instead of underwater, this one's in space. It's the Outer Wilds. And this is another game I couldn't put down. Honestly, like, it's a really, really interesting game. So basically, in this universe you're in, there's like this time loop that happens. The sun goes supernova, and then you die, and then you respawn again. It's like some kind of time loop, and the universe resets itself. And then you're trying to find out kind of the mysteries of this universe, right? Why is this time loop happening? And there's all these other planets you can explore in this universe, which is really cool. So just like Subnautica, it's got some similarities. I wish this was in VR though. There should have been a VR version. But other than that, it's fairly similar to Subnautica in the sense of exploration and mystery. Right? Subnautica also had mysteries too, right? Just underwater. This one is in space. You get to go to the different planets. You explore the inside of those planets. You get to read journals and stuff about what happened gradually. You get to piece together the mysteries of why the universe keeps resetting itself. Because you get a few minutes before the sun explodes every time, and yeah, you're really just trying to figure out the mysteries of the universe here. And I had a really fun time with this game too. Yeah, just the exploration aspect. Yeah, I think I'm really a sucker for these type of games like Dredge and yeah, Subnautica and Outer Wilds, where you can just explore, and there's mysteries. There's mysteries and also exploration. I love that sense of wonder that you get. Yeah, this one, I dropped right into a black hole.
Oh shit, I'm gonna get sucked in the black hole.
Dang. I think because these two are first person, Subnautica and Outer Wilds are first person, it makes it all the more immersive compared to like Dredge. If Dredge was first person, it would be cool too.
There is a specific cyclone.
Yeah, this one, okay, I went to some gas giant here, with these giant tornadoes are here. And then I also go into this other planet where there's like freaky anglerfish, I think, in this one. You get swallowed by anglerfish in this planet here, which is kind of freaky. Yeah. Yeah, anyways, this planet is definitely pretty creepy because there's like some hostile anglerfish monster creatures in here that you don't want to disturb. Yeah, anyways, I had a really fun time playing Outer Wilds. The sense of mystery and exploration, this one, really, really cool. Okay. So anyways, that's my tie. That's why there's a tie for number 1. I can't choose because they're both such good games, and they're really, like, if you're into exploring and everything, they're really good for that. The sense of mystery and adventure, I think, that's in exploration. That's really what Subnautica and Outer Wilds did for me. I just wish Outer Wilds had a VR version, like Subnautica did.
One that,
but anyways, both really, really cool games that I really couldn't put down. Oh man, there's like these giant jellyfish in that planet as well, I think.
That's the only thing down here. Shit. Go.
Oh, okay. I think here's where I get swallowed up by this anglerfish. Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh shit.
See
that's
that?
Scary.
This is the first time I went to this planet here.
Stuff. Oh man.
Oh.
Let's get out.
Oh no, shit. I got killed. I got swallowed up by the
anglerfish.
anglerfish. Oh man, love this game. I love this game. Anyways, let me know what you guys think
Talk
of my
about
list
scary.
of top 30 indie games I played on my channel. Yeah, if you agree or disagree, and I know there's so many indie
space
games out there, right?
anglerfish
It's too many to
that lived
count.
inside that planet.
Yeah, so let me know which one you guys like. As always, thanks for watching.